What's going on, guys? It's Waithe here, and in today's video I'm going to be talking about 5 books that changed my life. Now, it's not every day that I'd say that I've been really enjoying reading recently, and the reason why I'm saying this is because I've seen tremendous results from doing so. When you're in school, you're getting forced to read different books, and they don't really tickle your fancy. I mean, you're trying to think about how to get a date, do you know what I mean? Let alone of mice and men. So I feel like when you're younger, you don't really want to be reading. You don't really want to be learning as much. Maybe you do. Maybe people do like reading books. But I'm talking more about the self-development books. The older I get, the more I want to learn. And this means that I can optionally go and buy some books myself. And it's not some books that have been, fed to me. I actually can choose which books I want to read. Now, I've got 5 books that I've read, and I definitely recommend that you do so also. If you want to actually see the changes in your life, you're going to have to read these books, but also implement what you've learned, because otherwise you're just reading something and it will just go through you and you won't really learn anything. So these are the books that I have chosen. It is Everything is Fucked, Healing is the New High, The Chimp Paradox, The Power of Now, and The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck. Now, I would say apologies for my French, but I'm actually going to say it's actually nice to be honest. Do you know what I mean? It's good to use these words, and we're all mature here enough to handle them. And this is what these sort of books kind of teach you, is not to be, giving your fucks out so much and being offended too much. It's selective with your fucks. And I'll go more into that in a second. So if you're wondering why I even started into the self-development kind of lifestyle, and it's a good question to ask, because if you're not actually in the educational system anymore, you don't really need to read. You don't need to continue learning. You don't need to continue the self-development journey. But this is my point now, is that I chose to actively do it. No one told me to do it. No one forced me to do it. I just decided that I wanted to learn more things and learn more perspectives and see new sites and get more information from books and see how it would work for me. Because all the top people in the world, they all read, and the people who have a lifestyle that benefits them definitely include a book in there. So I wanted to see if it would work, and it definitely did. Do you know what I mean? I wish that I could explain even into depths how much this helped. But I'm going to talk in order of which books that I started with. I think it's actually helpful to know which books I started with, because I didn't dive straight into buying all of the books and then just reading all of them chaotically. It started with one book, and I'll say this is kind of like planting one seed, and then suddenly my interest and my curiosity for more of these sort of books grew, and then that's how I've ended up with a whole load. This is just the start. So I would say I was kind of unconsciously living for a while, and I was taken away from the now present moment. And that was my main issue, is that I was either in the past, thinking of the past, or thinking of the future. If you're stuck in the past, it doesn't get you forward. And if you're stuck in the future, it doesn't move you forward also. So I was trying to find a balance, and it was quite hard to find that middle ground. And I would watch YouTube videos and I'd watch motivational stuff to try and see if there's a way of how this would help. And I ended up hearing about the power of now. And obviously back then I was like, nothing's going to really change these circumstances. And, I'm just I'm going out drinking with my friends, and it's just, the weekends, and I feel like I'm in a loop, and I don't really have any purpose or drive. So I'm stuck in this rut, and I'm like trying to search for answers. And I feel like that's the start of when change happens. So when you start asking yourself different questions, you start analyzing things differently, and you want to see change. And I feel like that is when change happens, when you start feeling that resistance, and you're like, this lifestyle isn't working for me anymore. And I feel like, I'm not really happy with doing this, and I'm not happy working there, and I'm not happy chilling with these people, and I'm not happy doing this, and all of these questions are valid. So I think it was more, I had so many questions with so little answers. You can be limited by asking family and friends, and that's not to say they don't have the answers, but it's from a limited perspective, and it always comes down to love at the end of the day. If your friends and family give you advice, it's because they genuinely, they care for you, they love you. But I feel like what I was looking for is more brutal advice and an actual change from a stranger's perspective. So I ended up asking about and see if anyone I knew had the book, and I think my sister had The Power of Now, actually. and which was great. I mean, I was like, I actually wanted to read this book and it was already at my house. So I was like, oh my gosh. So the power of now is basically embracing the power of the present moment. Now I'm going to read the back of it. Open yourself to transforming experience of the power of now. Hugely successful and internationally best-selling author. It's basically a guide that will promise to help us go through a challenging but extraordinarily rewarding journey to find the power of now. We learned that we must find our way out of psychological pain. Authentic human power is found by surrendering to the now. The silence and space all around us is one of the keys to entering inner peace. In the now, the present moment, problems do not exist. In the now, we discover that we are already complete and perfect. Now. I was always skeptical about these sort of self-improvement books and gurus and, spirituality and people that would promise something that is already within our grasp. I'm like, no, you've got to work for that. Surely you've got to go out into the world and find that. You can't just have it now. What do you mean it's here now? What do you mean internal peace is now? Like, how does that work? I'm miserable. I'm at my job that I don't like. I'm in a household I want to go out of. All these different things. And it's like, how do you just let go of that now? So it's all those questions I had at the start. And then I was like, well, let me just read it. And I think a part of change, and I think a part of being like resistant to it is also kind of all these questions and judgments that instantly come up before you read the book. So if you find it hard to read the book, it's probably because you're like, well, why would I read it? Why would this give me the answers? Or I can't be asked to read this, or I'll read this tomorrow, or I'll read this another day. But it's like, why not now? Like, why not read it now? And that's basically the whole vibe behind the book. And it's really helped me make real big progress in my life. It's sort of like, as soon as I realized that everything, why not now? Like, why don't you do it now? Like, just if you have an idea, write it down now. If you want to film a video, do it now. Like, if you have a podcast, go now. Like, if you want to ask someone a question, ask them now. If you want to call someone, do it now. And it's basically brings you back to the present moment each time. If you're ever feeling lazy or procrastinating, and then simply bring yourself back to the present moment, look around you and be like, okay, whoa, where did I go then? Let's continue and let's try and do it now. And that was the best piece of advice I got from this book, is just realizing the power of now and the power of the present moment. And say you're anxious of the future, you're anxious about, you've got so many things to do, or you're depressed because of things in the past. All of that can dissolve once you kind of ground yourself in the present moment and then do something different. Instead of thinking so much about the future and the past, you ground yourself in the present moment, and then you are able to find the power of now. So this was one of the first books I read, and as you can tell, it's influenced my life. But I would definitely advise you to order this one first, because you can imagine, if you have a to-do list and it's like, you've got to do things. If you do it now, you won't have to do it later. Do you know what I mean? It's already done now. Do you know what I mean? It happens now. But that is it. It drills in my head now. Do you know what I mean? For me to make this YouTube video, I had to go, let's do it now instead of tomorrow. Otherwise, if I did it tomorrow, I wouldn't have done it now. Do you know what I mean? I'm just going to read a page from The Power of Now, just to give you an idea. See if you can catch yourself complaining in either speech or thought about a situation you find yourself in. What other people do or say, your surroundings, your life situation, even the weather. To complain is always non-acceptance of what is. It invariably carries an unconscious negative charge. When you complain, you make yourself into a victim. When you speak out, you are in your power. So change the situation by taking action, or by speaking out if necessary or possible. Leave the situation or accept it. All else is madness. Now I love that, because it just ends it with saying all else is madness, meaning if you can't change something, just simply let it go. Because everything else everything else other than those two things is just madness, and it's all made up scenarios and illusions. So it's good to just kind of either change something or let it be and let it go. But this one was my starting point. It kind of opened my mind a little bit, and I was on the path to kind of where I am now. It's hard when your mind's already full and you've got so many different angles, you've got so many things to do. You might not be in environments that are ideal. You might have a long job and not enough time in the day, not enough time in life, it might feel. And these are all valid things. So it's hard to manage these and fit reading into a moment. So I ended up kind of researching even more on how I can manage my mind. So this is what came up, is the mind management, and it's basically the chimp paradox. Now this one really helped me understand my mind. Now this is probably one of the most game-changing ones. Your inner chimp can be your best friend or your worst enemy. This is the chimp paradox. Do you self-sabotage your own happiness and success? Are you struggling to make sense of yourself? Do your emotions sometimes dictate your life? The chimp paradox is an incredibly powerful mind management model that can help you become happy, confident, healthier, and a more successful person. Dr. Steve Peters explains the struggle that takes place within your mind and then shows how to apply this understanding to every area of your life so you can recognize how your mind works, understand and manage your emotions and thoughts, manage yourself, and become the person you'd like to be. Now, I mean, if that doesn't sound like the most selling package there is ever. Honestly, it sounds too good to be true, but once I read it, it kind of made me laugh at myself. I was like, wow, okay, that's how my mind works. That is why I do that. And it kind of is humbling once you read these self-development books. You're like, oh gosh, this is why I do this. This is why I react like that. This is why these situations happen. And I think you've got to be careful when you get into self-development and self-improvement. It does hold a lot of accountability, and you've got to be able to look within yourself and see your flaws and these different things and realize they aren't flaws, but things that you can work on. And there's always a book that can help you out as well. That's what I've realized, that there are other people that have been through what you've been through, and they can help you manage your mind. So I'm just going to read a page from this book. What I actually love doing is, even if you don't want to read a whole book, just randomly pick it up and open a page and just read it. And I've found that every time I do that, it always has something that I needed in that moment. And I guess that is the power of now. If you look at a book and you're like, oh, I should read that sometime, just pick it up and then open a page, and you'll realize that maybe that is a good chapter that you just randomly needed. And then you're like, whoa, I am so connected. This is so cool. Divine being. Yeah, man. The question most people will want to ask is, can I change my personality, or can others change theirs? I once had a question from a colleague who said, how do you change people? The answer is that I can't. I'm helping people manage their chimp and adjust and maintain their computer. I haven't changed the chimp. I can't change the chimp. I'm not even attempting to. However, when they manage their chimp and maintain their computer, then the real person emerges. Let's assume a miracle has happened and that the chimp is no longer on the move, whatever you do. It is permanently gone to sleep or only offers helpful emotion. Let's also assume that we have removed all gremlins from the computer. What you would now be is a more relaxed individual showing human characteristics. However, to be happy means that you must cultivate this mood. And to do this, you will need to define how you will make yourself happy. Likewise, to be calm, we need plans to deal with stress and to carry them out. Developing any aspect of your personality will need time spent on it. It is easier to work on each aspect one at a time and to monitor your progress. Developing the human and bringing out the best in you is about developing yourself, managing your chimp and removing gremlins, communicating effectively, having the right people around you, creating a world for yourself to live in, looking after yourself, and getting quality in your life. You can kind of see where this book is taking us. It's so useful if you're having a hard time kind of managing your mind. Now, if you're wondering what the chimp and the computer is that they're talking about, now if you see your brain as sort of like a computer, like I've said in a few videos, I kind of see my brain as a supercomputer. Now imagine gremlins as negative thoughts and irritation in the mind and all of these random, nuisances that happen that you're thinking about, or all these, non-clarity moments. Now that is the chimp. Imagine a wild chimpanzee. They are just chaotic. They're making lots of noise. They're always shouting. They're going, well, whatever that chimp was. But that isn't you. That is just a chaotic chimp mind. So imagine that in your mind. And then you have your computer mind, which is your core. It's you, it's you that thinks logically and can handle things, and process things. But the issue is your mind can have gremlins, which are basically viruses. So if you have a computer that has viruses, it runs slow. So imagine your brain that has viruses, these gremlins that are annoying up your, circuits and all of your programming. So it's all about trying to manage and identify that you have gremlins and viruses, and to try and, slowly let go of them over time, and to manage the chimp mind that's always going off. It's not about getting rid of these things, it's about managing them, because then you can kind of calm them over time and not have to blurt them out to the world, and you can transmute them in a healthy way. So that is the Chimp Paradox, the mind management program for confidence, success, and happiness. So that is another one of the books that I recommend. Right, so the next book that I have is Healing is the New High by Vex King. I have actually had the privilege of speaking to him via Instagram DMs, and he's given me some really great advice over the times. And this book has really helped me as well. This is one of their limited edition versions, nice gold. I love it. Do you know what I mean? It looks quite bougie. Do you know what I mean? What this one is about is how can you achieve inner healing, let go of past trauma, and find resilience and freedom. Vex King developed inner healing techniques to help him find freedom from his troubled past and heal from his emotional pain and trauma. Since then, he has helped hundreds of thousands of people to move forward on their own healing journey. In this book, Vex provides an experience of healing through the layers of self-using yogic practice and unique practices. These techniques are simple, accessible, and have the power to produce exceptional results. They include working with your body's energy, exploring and raising your inner vibration, creating positive relationships, exploring your personal history and rewriting limiting beliefs, uncovering your true self and reigniting your fire. Taking charge of your inner healing is one of the greatest acts of self-love. By committing to this process and raising your vibration, energy that courses through you and which you radiate out into the world, you'll create space to welcome more joyful experiences into your life. Now, isn't that lovely? That is exactly what it offers. And if you've read those two first books, or you don't want to start with those, this is another great starting point. And Healing is the New High. What a great title. Obviously, these days, most people like to use substances to get high and different forms of other things, to escape the healing. And this is basically showing that you can enjoy the healing process, and it is the new high. It gives you great feelings from it. And, you can always have those feelings within you. So this is a great book to start off. I'm just going to read a page from here just to give you a little inkling, and then we'll go from there. Those who attempt to belittle us reveal more about their own character and perceptions of the world than ours. Those who want to hurt the world outside of them must contain hurt in their inner world. You can only give what you have, literally and energetically. That is a very, very good statement. I mean, come on, guys. This is gold in a book form, literally. But honestly, that's why I love reading these books. It just gives you a great insight and new-found wisdom that you can use in the world. And it's just in a book. You can have it anywhere. You don't have to read it all at once. It's just so great. So I'm excited to see if any of you lot end up picking some of these books and seeing the results. Now, the next two are by the same person, and I've just finished these two, and I definitely recommend them. And this gives me the kind of final push to tackle the world. And I would actually say these are great ones to kind of finish on after starting those three books. Because when you go into this world, when you go into the self-development journey, it's all about kind of healing, and it's a bit vulnerable and it's a bit intense at first. You've got to reveal some things to heal them. And these two kind of, after you've got all of that, it kind of gives you the armor that you need to go forward once you've done all the necessary shadow work. So the first one is Everything is Fucked, a book about hope by Mark Manson. Just because everything appears to be a mess doesn't mean you have to be one. Mark Manson's book is a call to arms for a better life and a better world, and could not be more needed right now. In Everything is Fucked, Manson draws on the mountains of psychological research, as well as on the timeless wisdom of philosophers from Plato to Tom Waithe, who dissect religion, politics, money, entertainment, and the internet. Manson challenges us to be more honest with ourselves, openly defying our definitions of faith, happiness, freedom, and even of hope itself. One of the great modern writers has produced another book that will set the agendas for years to come. Now, this book completely flipped my whole idea of hope and everything that comes with a safety blanket. And it's basically destroys the idea of how everything should all be a fairy tale kind of hopeful, wishful land, but to see the reality of life and to kind of be brutally honest with yourself and to see things as they are, not how they should be. But it also brings a sense of newfound hope and a new definition of what hope means to us. And I think that's important. I think it's good to kind of reevaluate our definitions of things. And this definitely makes you question a lot of things. So if you want a book that makes you question your beliefs and stuff, it's a hard kind of thing to do, letting go of old, beliefs and systems and patterns. But this book definitely makes you question everything that you know, basically. And I read this very fast. I was like, wow, okay, this has got my attention. And to follow up from that one, we have got The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck, which I think came out before that book. But this book is absolutely great as well. It's a counterintuitive approach to living a good life. Now, what Mark does is he kind of gives us a new approach to kind of ways of learning and thinking about things. And it's a nice way that, like, it's more brutal and honest instead of sugarcoating things. And it's not a soft blanket that you read and you're like, oh, I feel so good after. It's actually kind of a book where you feel, you know what? I'm ready for this. I'm not sensitive about this. I'm kind of accepting of the situation and the world and myself, and we're going to move forward accordingly. And this makes you, not really give a damn, or select your dams, or select your fucks. Do you know what I mean? It's not giving a fuck about everything, but selecting where you should give your energy and time. Choose your struggle. If I ask you, what do you want out of life? And you say something like, I want to be happy and have a great family and a job I like. Your response is so common and expected that it doesn't really mean anything. Everybody enjoys what feels good. Everybody wants to live a carefree, happy and easy life, to fall in love and have amazing sex and relationships. To look perfect and to make money and to be popular and well respected and to be admired and a total baller to the point that people part like the Red Seas when they walk into a room. Everybody wants it. It's easy to want that. A more interesting question, a question that most people never consider, is what pain do you want in your life? What are you willing to struggle for? Because that seems to be a greater determinant on how our lives turn out. Now, again, I really want you to read these books for yourself. That was just a little snippet of it. But this book is so insightful. It gives you new perspectives and it helps you tackle all of the challenges that the world offers, and your mind also. So, I really do want you to go out and see if you already have it. Your parents might have it, or your friends might have it, or, whoever might have it. Your dog might even have it. Do you know what I'm saying? Who knows? But go and check these books out. If you can rent it, go to the library, see if they have them. But it's very, very highly recommended. I mean, I've turned my life around from, going out all the time and partying and just overindulging and not really knowing where to go in life, to kind of feeling this purpose and drive that's going to help me move forward and manage my emotions instead of being controlled by them. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a cheeky thumbs up and share it around your friends. I also have a podcast called The Facts Only Podcast, which you can listen to on all streaming platforms now. But anyways, I will see you in my next video. Peace out.